Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Student World live shows. I don't know if you remember, but throughout a big part of this year, we had a special time during the week on Tuesdays and Wednesdays in which we would have this kind of lives here. They used to call the Student World Prime Choices and also the Student World Spotlight. And throughout like over 20 episodes, we used to have a lot of fun, right? And so I'm trying as I see your names here, I'm just trying to recognize any familiar faces. Again, my name is Carlos Ranchetti. I will be your host for the Student World Talks, which is the new name we're giving the Student World Lives here. And I couldn't be more excited, guys. It is so good to be back here. I am so excited. This is such a special moment for the student world. And yeah, we hope that you're excited as well to join us here today. Uh, for those of you that are joining us for the first time, by the way, this is a question I want to ask you. Could you please put here on the chat if you're joining us for the first time? This is the student world life ever that you join, or if you actually have joined any of our lives before, especially the ones that I mentioned, the prime choices and the spotlight. Can you put here in the chat? Let's see if any of you are already familiar. But yeah, so as I was saying, the student world lives, they are a great chance for you to meet and talk with many universities, many of some of the best universities out there, right? For the next 50 something minutes, we'll be here live interviewing a very nice university from Canada. I'm not going to say their name yet, but actually it's on the description, so you probably know already. But yeah, and the cool thing is that you guys will be able to send your questions on the chat. And I always say, guys, make it as personalized as possible, right? Write about you. Tell us about like what is your plan to study in Canada or to study abroad overall? What is the information that you need, right? Make it about yourself. My job here today, besides being the host and interviewing the lovely guests we have here today, will be to vocalize all your questions that you put here in the chat. So please use me and I'll be more than happy to do that. So yes, we are all very excited, not just me, but all the Student World team who has been organizing these for the past few weeks. So yeah, let me say hello to some of you that are actually joining us here on the chat. Let's say, wow, we have so many people already commenting here. Over 84 people joining us here today, guys. So happy to have you here. No matter where you are in the world, I want you to know you are super mega welcome here to our lives. Okay. So who do we have here? We have Aaron. Hi, Aaron. Hi, Olotu. Hi, Susan, Olivia, Orelaja. Who else? Dan is here. People from Mexico. Sarah from Kenya. I love when you guys also put the countries where you're watching us from. It shows how diverse this is. Ariel from Paraguay. Hi, Ariel. Who else is Saline from Spain? Oh, Saline. Hi. Where else we have here? Greetings from Costa Rica. Oh, Nicolas Carrasco. Welcome, mate. Belle Amalia from Algeria. Hi, how are you, Belle? Yarin. Oh man, so many people, so many people. It's impossible to say all of your names. But Valeria from Peru, Diruba from Turkey, Hungary, Kenya. So many countries joining us here today, guys. Very, very excited. Okay, so in Russia as well. Oh, I think it's the first time actually we have someone from Russia joining us. So very welcome, Ronnie. I hope you enjoy. Alexander from Ecuador. We have Randy from Colombia as well. Uzbekistan, Myanmar. Oh my God, this is incredible. Okay, guys. So now let's take a moment so I can explain to you what the hell is this lives about, right? So the Student World Lives, as I mentioned, is the one and only out there study abroad related talk show. All right. So you're not gonna find any other talk show format study abroad related kind of program online. So we're very happy because this makes us very unique. And so on today's shows, just like in any others, we're always going to have a guest representing a particular institution. And throughout the course of this next hour, we're going to be asking questions to them. They're going to be talking about their university. We're going to cover a range of different aspects, from an introduction on the programs they offer, a little bit about their campus, the cost of their tuition, their accommodation options, where they're located. So lots of things, right? But we also encourage all of you, as I mentioned, to send your questions here in the chat. All right, because then we can make this about you. And at the end of the day, this is about you. All right. So yes. So before we start, don't forget to like this video. As I always say, is like. Hit that button as many times as you want, because the more you like, the more YouTube help us, and by showing us to more people, and we can have more and more people out there get to know this university, as well as get to know other study abroad opportunities. So please leave your like here if you're enjoying what you're watching. If you're not enjoying it, it's okay to give your thumbs down. That's fine as well. It's a good feedback for us. What else here? Don't forget also to subscribe to our YouTube channel here, to the Student World YouTube channel, because there's always something going on here, as well as in our Instagram. Those are the two main networks, social media networks that we use. So if you want to keep in touch with us, and be aware of all the great opportunities out there for your study abroad, please follow us, join our community on Instagram, and also here on YouTube. Okay. But guys, I've been talking for 7 minutes, and you're not here. You didn't come here today to watch this host talk about his stuff, right? You came here today because you want to meet who the hell is this amazing university that is joining us here today. So before I introduce you, all of you, to them, I just want to say a couple of things about them, right? Because when we were planning the first episode of this new season that we're hosting, we were like, okay, we need to bring someone very special. And this university, actually, they share an interest in joining us and joining our lives. And we were so happy when that happened, because as we started researching about them, we found out, man, they are nice. They are very unique. So here you go. I'm just going to say a couple of things, just a quick thing about this institution, and then I'm going to introduce them to you. So let's start with just a few points that we have sum up. The first thing is that they are the third largest campus in Canada. And we know how important a campus experience is, right? So the third largest campus in Canada. They are among the top 20 best universities in Canada as well, according to some rankings, which proves then that they're really, really good. They offer the only space engineering programs in the whole country of Canada, which is pretty impressive as well. But I'm saving the best for the end, right? Because the one thing that I want to tell you is that, as you saw in the promotions, they are the only institution in Canada, or campus in Canada, that offer bilingual programs. What? Bilingual programs? We're used to hear this when we're going for high school, or some schools for secondary and stuff when we were still young. It's getting more and more common to have schools that are offer you can study in your own language, but you can also study in English, right? But university, guys, I work with this, and I've never heard that before. It is the first time. So can you imagine how blown away I was? And I think that you're gonna get quite quite happy with what you're about to see. But I'm not going to share more details. I want them to tell all of that to you. So so this is a little bit. Obviously, I'm talking about York University, located in Toronto, Canada. For those of you who don't know, Toronto is perhaps the biggest city in Canada. Is also the financial center of Canada. It's located close to the east coast of Canada, close to the New York State in the U.S. So anyway, but we're gonna tell you all of that and more. So before I introduce you to the lovely guest that we'll be talking about representing here at York University, why don't we play a video so you can have a good idea of what their amazing campus look like and who is York University. So let's take a look. Nice, right? Booze here is saying it's looking too much expensive. Wait a minute, Booze. Hold your horses because we're going to talk about the prices as well. So we're going to cover all that. But guys, now enough about me, enough of me talking. Let's invite to the stage here the two amazing guests representing York University. Please welcome Ryan and Antoine as well. Hi, Ryan. How are you? Hey, guys. Great to have you here.
Hello, Carlos. It's great to be here. Thank you. And hello to everyone, especially everyone who's doing this for the first time. So are we. So we have that in common.
Yay, we are first timers, rookies. So if you make any mistakes or whatever, it's okay. It's a sign of good luck, so don't worry. But Antoine, it's great to have you here, mate. Welcome to the show.
Bonjour, Carlos. Nice to see you. Nice to see all the folks listening in. I'm pretty excited to be part of this first episode of the Student World Talks.
Yeah, absolutely. As you could see, we have a super diverse range here in our audience. Like countries, like so many different countries, from Russia all the way to Myanmar and here in Latin America, Africa. So this is something super cool. But guys, before we start here, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do for the university? So maybe we'll start with you, Ryan.
Okay, so I am the International Recruitment Officer for York University's Glendon campus, which is the video that you just saw, and we're going to be focusing on today. I virtually, at least for the moment, travel, quote unquote, all over the world, connecting with students who are interested in our programs, interested in studying in Canada, earning a degree in Canada, and want to know everything about what that is like. So that's been a very exciting and rewarding role so far. And I'm very, very happy to be here today, of course.
Cool. So you are one of the go-to person for all these folks that are here watching us that want to perhaps study in the York University.
Absolutely.
Yeah, awesome. How about you, Antoine?
Well, Carlos, I've been at Glendon for about 3 years. I myself am a French Canadian, so I know what it's all about to be bilingual in our official languages, English and French. And maybe something you don't know about me is that I'm actually trying to learn Spanish as well. So we have a lot of programs here in business and sciences and social sciences, but languages is actually something we're really known for. And I'm taking a certificate in Spanish for business. So it's something to be like Ryan and myself and talk to future students, but I'm also taking some courses for fun as I go.
All right, if you want, we have some students from Latin America. I can ask them to send the questions in Spanish as well, so we can all practice a little bit, because my Spanish is still not very good. Despite my name being Carlos, I'm from Brazil, actually. So I speak Portuguese, but I am, working hard to improve my Spanish as well. But guys, as I mentioned, really happy to have you here today. Brian, can you explain? Because although we will be, we're talking about York University, on today's live, we're going to be specifically talking about the Glendon campus, right? So, can you just start by giving an overview of York University has different campus, so campus have different programs. Can you explain a little bit of that?
Yeah, sure, no problem. So, as you mentioned quite correctly, York University, as a post secondary institution, so that means anything after high school, right, is the third largest post secondary institution in Canada. That's absolutely true. We're so big that we actually have two campuses in the city of Toronto. So, we have our main Keele campus, which is in the north end of the city. And out of our 55,000 students, that's actually home to about 52,000 of our students. It's basically a city within a city. So it's massive. Our Glendon campus, where Antoine and I work, it's actually the original campus of York University, but it's much smaller, which is very appealing to a lot of people. We only have 2,500 students at Glendon campus. York University as a whole has about 200 programs. Glendon has 22 of them. York University has 11 faculties. We're one of those faculties as well. Glendon is a campus and a faculty that houses some of the programs at York University as a whole. So anybody that studies at Glendon is going to be studying at York University, and their degree would be from York University. We have undergraduate options, and we have graduate and postgraduate options as well for students. So there are some students that come here, they take their undergrad program, and they just stay. They work all the way up to a doctorate if they absolutely want to, if they're ambitious enough to do that. So we're a very comprehensive university. We are one of the top 20. We were ranked number 6 last year by Maclean's magazine, which does rankings of universities in Canada. And like 99% of our universities, we're publicly funded. So we're publicly funded and we're government accredited. So that means, and this is the thing with education in Canada as a whole, the quality is extremely high. It makes a recruiter's job easy, but also hard at the same time, because it makes it easy because when you think of Canada and education, you think quality, and it's true. But at the same time, it's harder because you can't say, well, this university is bad and this university is great and good. I mean, all our universities are fantastic. So it really becomes a question of what program do you want? What kind of environment do you want to be in? Would you rather be in a big city or a small town or out in the country somewhere? There are a lot of other things to consider, besides whether a place is good or bad to study, because that really isn't part of the conversation when you're talking about studying in Canada, and certainly when you're talking about studying at any of York's 11 faculties, of course, including Glendon.
Absolutely. And I do have a question regarding that too that I want to ask Antoine. But before I move on, could you just tell what areas, what fields of studies students can study in Glendon campus? Because since that will be the focus of today's programs, I wanted to pass it on already at the beginning, so our audience can already have an idea.
Yeah, sure. So, as I mentioned, Glendon has 22 undergraduate programs, and they are concentrated mainly around the liberal arts, sciences, humanities, business, and languages. So, I'll give you some examples. I won't list all 22, but I can give you some examples of majors that we offer. So, we have a Bachelor of Science in Psychology. We also have a Bachelor of Science in Biology. We have Business Economics. We have International Studies. We have Gender and Sexuality Studies, Drama and Creative Arts, English studies, French studies. I'm almost naming all of them, so I think I'll stop myself there. But as I think you can already tell that we do have a really nice wide range of programs, even at our smaller campus here.
Awesome. Antoine, as you know, like the student world is always like presenting different institutions, great universities, not only from Canada, but from many other countries. And I always I always like to give the opportunity for the university to actually tell, in their opinion, what makes them different from others, what makes them unique, right? So as Ryan was saying, you guys are super well ranked, and we're talking about Canada. We're not talking about like any other country. Canada has some of the very best universities in the world, so it's not that you don't have competition, you do. And the fact that you ranked so well just tell us, how good your institution is. But in your opinion, what makes your university unique?
Carlos, I think that's a great question because I think back to when I was applying to university when I was in high school, and it's not always easy comparing one university against another. I mean, all the brochures are so pretty, all the websites are all so nice. How do I make a choice? Well, I think that's what we're going to try and bring to you, Carlos, and the folks listening at home. We're going to try and make Glendon stand out. What makes you unique, right? And what I would answer to that is that it's the best of both worlds. I think a lot of people looking for a university, they have a tough choice to make. Am I going to go for a university that has a great reputation, great research, good connections in the business and the career side of things? Or do I go for kind of a smaller, maybe a liberal arts college like you see a lot in the US, a community? Am I going for a community that's supportive, that's going to make me feel good? I'm going to make friends. And we're here, Ryan and I, to tell you that you don't have to make a choice one or the other. At Glendon, being part of York University means you've got that top ranking, you've got the recognition, you're right in Toronto where the business world is in Canada, but at the same time, you get to work on your soft skills, your language skills, make friends, have a community. The one stat I want to leave with the folks here is that our average class size is 26 students. And that can mean a lot of things to different people depending where you're coming from. But in a university like this in Canada is very unique to have 26 students in a classroom. You're going to get to put up your hand and ask your questions to the prof because it's going to be less intimidating, but the prof is also going to recognize your face, know your name, maybe know where you're from, as so many people are jumping in and saying in the chat. So hopefully that helps you out a bit, Carlos, and the folks listening at home.
Yeah.
I would say that's what makes Glendon unique.
Absolutely. Guys, the other thing, because we always run a little bit of research about the guests that we're bringing to the show, and one thing that I also found out about you was the undecided major, and I that was super interested, and I wanted to give you the opportunity here, Ryan, to share with people here because I'm not sure, guys, for those of you that are watching us here, if you already know exactly what you want to study, what your minors, your majors will be, but York University and Glendon campus, they have something called Undecided Major,
Mhm.
and this is super interesting. So please, Ryan, can you share a little bit of what is that?
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, I'm happy to, and fortunately, it's fairly explanatory in itself, in that it's for people who haven't decided yet, right? So if you're coming out of high school or coming out of other studies and you are looking to pursue an undergraduate degree, a lot of people. They have an idea of maybe they want to do this, but they're not ready exactly to commit, but they want to move forward with their university education. And so the undecided major at Glendon, what that allows you to do is become a full-time, full-fledged university student pursuing a degree, here, and you can take a mix, or in French we call it a mélange, a mix of courses from different programs at Glendon that are open to students. And then by the end of the first year, or even a little later, you can then say, okay, I've taken some psychology courses, I've taken some international studies courses, economics courses, and the one that the subject that I'm really connecting with is economics. So I think I'm going to declare that my major. So then you have the opportunity to actually explore different programs and then make a decision after the first year in terms of, okay, I've chosen, I've made my choice, and now I'm going to pursue this degree. And the benefit of it is that it doesn't mean that you have to restart. It doesn't mean that you have to, start all over again. It's like, oh, I've made my choice. I've already done a year and a half. I'm going to have to do another full years now. No, the courses that you've already taken will count towards your degree. So you're not losing any time, which is really important. So it's a wonderful option for people who really haven't decided yet and really want that flexibility.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, guys, can you put here if you would if you think that this is something that you would do? Can you put here in the chat as well? Antonella, in your experience, like dealing with students there, international students, is that something they do quite often?
Yeah, I think there's a number of people that go into undecided major. Ryan explained it really well. I mean, if you're coming from high school, for example, you may not know exactly what you want to do in your career, which starts in maybe 4 or 5 years. And that's perfectly normal. And what you maybe can be reassured by is that our programs are flexible. This is a big investment for time and money and all that, and you want to feel like it's worth it. You want to feel like you're not losing. And Ryan, he talked about that. You don't want to lose by saying, "Oh, I think I want to do this," but then in my first year I fall in love with this other subject, and I do really well in that subject, so I'm going to do more of that. And that's a model you find in Canada and North America, where your schedule is broken into different parts, and really that's the other thing I'll say about that is that maybe you're undecided because you're at home doing your research by yourself right now. Come and ask Ryan and I questions in the chat, or connect with us after. But even when you become a student here, sit down with a member of our team, an academic advisor who's going to say, you know what? Communications where you're from is not exactly the same way when we say a communications program here. So there are some barriers, but what you need to know is that it's flexible programs, and there are people here to help you as you apply and as you become a student.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is part of something that we're trying to do actually with this lives, because although it is one of the best experience we have in our lives studying abroad, the process of planning can be quite overwhelming sometimes, right? Because there's a lot of bureaucracy involved. So we always like to say that, you know what, guys, go get in touch with the university reps. They are the source of information, right? You don't need to spend overnights on Google reading long pages. No, you can have like a lovely conversation, just like what we're having here, but asking, your questions, like what is your situation, what is the things that you like, the things that you don't, and in maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes, you can get absolutely everything that you need. So yeah, so I do encourage everybody that is here. We're gonna leave the contact information of York University, of Ryan here, and Antoine at the end. So you'll be able to write it down. We're also going to put it in the chat as well, so you can copy that, send them an email, perhaps schedule a call. Anyway, carry on the conversation with them. But guys, moving on here, the other thing that I wanted to because Ryan, you already mentioned some of the fields of study from Glendon campus, but I always like. Many students ask us to actually ask this: is there a particular field that you say that you're really strong at, or you would say that in general, like?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think, because of the fact that we do have a fairly high proportion of international students on our campus, we're at about 20% of our student body are international students in a given year. So that's actually a significant amount. And we're an extremely diverse campus. This is all to say that we have a very global focus. And the students that come to Glendon, Antoine talked a little bit about the small class sizes, right? And about how, you can raise your hand and talk to your professors. The people on this campus tend to be either engaged teachers or engaged learners, right? Which means that, they love the collaboration, they love having those direct connections with their professors. And that is the kind of personality trait that lends itself to people who become leaders, right? And so, having said all that, I would say one program that I would say we're very strong in is international studies. International studies incorporates political science, economics, global business, international relations in a multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary 4-year program that gives students the opportunities to do some really exceptional things. For example, we have the Glendon Model United Nations here. So students can actually practice at diplomacy, right? Which is something that, because a lot of the students that are in international studies, they're looking forward. They're looking at the United Nations, that as a place they might want to work for. They're looking at non-governmental organizations, Doctors Without Borders, these kinds of, very well-known global organizations. These are the Foreign Service, right? From either Canada or from their respective country. That's something, they want to be diplomats. And so That is something, that is really, really strong at Glendon, because our students tend to naturally be leaders, and that's a program that really nurtures leadership.
Yeah, and I'm so happy that you mentioned that because there are, when working with this for quite some years, I created like a kind of a checklist for okay, so this for me to recommend a university, they need to have a few things, and one of the things that besides like small class, like you just mentioned, Tournois, like some other things such as like the opportunity to have like an experience also abroad. And I'm happy particularly that you mentioned the international business because you offer a dual a degree for international studies, correct? I wanted also for you to share a little bit about this because apparently you can, from you guys that are watching us, if you go study that degree there at your university, you can have an experience in France, if I'm not mistaken. Can you share a little bit about that, Ryan?
Yeah, sure. So, with the International Studies program, we've entered into this partnership with another school in France. So, let me describe it for you. Okay. So, we call it the dual degree program because in the time that it would normally take you to do one degree, you would actually complete two degrees. So, it's an intense program, and it's definitely for somebody who's very good at time management. But the way the program is structured is for year 1 and 2, you would be here in Toronto studying at the Glendon campus and finishing your degree in international studies. Then for year 3 and 4, you are sent off to France to the Lyon Business School in close to Lyon, France, and it's actually the second largest and most prestigious business school in France and one of the most prestigious in Europe. And in those 2 years, you would finish your Bachelor of Business Administration degree at Lyon with a co-op component. So this is a very intense program, but it's extremely rewarding, especially for people who are globally minded and who are business minded as well. You really get the best of both worlds. You get the best of two countries, the best of two kinds of education combined together. You get hands-on experience as well during your program. And after 4 years, you don't just have one degree, you have two very competitive degrees.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing that it's on my checklist, besides this, is what something that you mentioned as well, which is co-op, right? Which like the this particular name, I don't think many people are familiar with it. So I want to give you, Antoine, the opportunity to explain a little bit more and to explore this internship, this partnerships that the university have, that York has with like corporations, perhaps the government as well, because the beauty of this is that the students, international students, will have the opportunity then to have a professional experience, to learn something in the real world working for a Canadian company, and that is super valuable. So can you share a little bit, Antoine, about what kind of opportunities York University provides for international students in that particular area?
Definitely. It's an important question. I mean, you want to know what you're getting at the end with that degree. I did see a couple of questions in the chat just about language requirements. So I'm just going to quickly go on that one. For
Yep.
our dual degree, you need to be bilingual in English and French. For almost every other program at Glendon, you do not have to be bilingual. We'll take you at the level of French that you have, even if that is none. We'll take you from zero and we'll bring you much higher. So just to be clear, for admission requirements, I know people worry about that. It's a fair question. But for most of our programs, you don't have to be bilingual. Okay. Now, Carlos, we're talking about hands-on experience. I know people call it different things depending where you're coming from. Maybe it's internship or placement or co-op or hands-on or lots of names. But I think what we can bring together as a common element is we want to build something so that we're ready for our career after studying. And that's super important to us. Often Ryan and I will go into a classroom or a presentation like this, and we're going to say, the top 3 reasons why students choose Glendon, one of those top 3 reasons is to be career ready and to have hands-on experience. And this is super important for us, but also it's what the students are telling us. And specifically, these are initiatives in each program. In any program, Ryan said we have 22 programs. So in any of them, you can do hands-on experience. You can do an internship with an organization that interests you. So don't just think about, I'm going to go buy, it's a transaction, I'm going to obtain that bilingual degree. Yeah, sure. But during those years of study, every year you should be gaining skills, you should be gaining hands-on experiences that you're going to mention in that job interview, that you're going to mention on your resume and your CV when you're applying to that job. And it could be things like the Model UN, it could be an internship through the French Chamber of Commerce with a dual degree. It could be a number of things. I mean, we have connections in the financial sector. The Wall Street of Canada is here in Toronto. It's Bay Street. All these connections with top hospitals in Canada. Where do you think they are? They're in Toronto. So this is where we have the research opportunities, and just we've talked a bit about the bilingual aspect. I want you to take a second and think of language as a skill. Okay. Yeah, you can go in a business and get experience. You can do an internship. You can do research. But knowing an additional language, that's a skill. That's something additional you're bringing to that next employer, whether it's financial sector, whatever it is, right? So that's what I'll leave you with, Carlos. It's kind of a few of these ideas that all our programs have hands-on, and that really language is a skill at Glendon.
Awesome. I completely agree with you. English is something basic nowadays. It's something you must have. The advantages, that the competitive advantages that you can provide in yourself, if you see yourself as a product, as the other language that you speak. Absolutely. Guys, in terms of languages, I just wanted to touch base on this bilingual thing, because this is for sure one of the main things that make York University unique, and it's something that we've got lots of questions on this before the live. And anyway, so Ryan, can you explain, especially covering like some very like the FAQ of these, so the frequently asked questions, like, do they need to have a pre-level of French? Is French the second one language? Is two language bilingual or trilingual? So can you explain, give it an overview of this super cool thing?
Sure. Actually, what I'd like to do is I'd like to just take it actually back another level, because a lot of people, I think, have the sense of the fact that Canada is a bilingual country, and it's true. We are an officially bilingual country with two official languages, English and French. However, there's often some conceptions out in the world that everybody in Canada is fully bilingual, and all across the country, everybody speaks both languages. And that's not actually kind of the case, right? For better or worse, we have areas of the country, like in the province of Quebec and New Brunswick, where you have more predominantly francophone communities, and then you have kind of the rest of the country, right, where the language of common language of business and services and everything like that is more English. And Toronto is in the middle of Ontario, which is a more English speaking province, even though we have a very strong Franco-Ontarian or French speaking Ontarian community, which Antoine is a member of. But Toronto, it's a predominantly English city. So what does that mean? It means that we encourage, one of Glendon's missions is to encourage more bilingualism amongst Canadians, but also amongst people who come to study here from all over the world. So, as Antoine mentioned, does that mean that you have to come here and be fluent? Well, no, because 75% of our students who come to Glendon, who are from down the street or other parts of Canada, their first language is English, and their French level is not necessarily strong at all. So, as Antoine said, you can come here with no French whatsoever. The language requirements for a Glendon program is you need to be at a very high level of either English or French, not both. So I'm assuming that probably most of the people who are listening to this and watching this right now, probably they're much more comfortable in English than they are with French. And that's that's great. That's cool. Okay. So that's a requirement for admission is having a strong skill level of English. When you apply and then get admitted to one of our programs, we'll send you a second language test. So this test is not that complicated, and it has no bearing whatsoever on whether or not you're going to be admitted to the program. You've already been admitted. What we want to know is, okay, so your English is strong. Now let's see if you have any French whatsoever. If you have some, great. We'll place you at the level that's appropriate to your skill level. And if that's at basically zero, then you'll start at zero. We're not a language school purely, so the goal is not to graduate fully functionally fluent bilingual people. It's to increase a language skill. As Antoine said, language is a skill. And even for people whose French is not perfect, but has gotten, has you've acquired some French skills through your 4 year degrees, statistics show that on average, already you are open to more promotion in your career, to more global opportunities. And on average, you're actually paid about 20% more than somebody who only speaks one language. You did mention trilingual, so I did want to say that as well. As Antoine is taking the Spanish speaking for business and professional communication program, you could add Spanish as a third language as well if you'd like, and then you'd be graduating with a trilingual degree. Again, the point is not to make you completely fluent in 3 languages, but it's to acquire some second and third language skills so that you can then go out into the world and have more doors open to you, either down the street here in Toronto or in Europe or the other side of the world.
Awesome. But just to be clear, this is maybe is a stupid question. I don't know, but in the daily routine, how does it work? Like, okay, so because you can choose any international bachelor's degree, you can do it in bilingual, right? How does it work in the daily routine? Do you
Yeah.
go? Let's say that I choose French as my second language, right? That I wanted to do. Will I have like in the mornings like a French class, and then in the afternoon the subjects will be taught? Some classes in English, some classes in French. Just like in the real world, how does it work exactly?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. And so let's say, because it's different depending on your French skill level, but let's just take the example of someone who's coming to a Glendon program without having any real French training beforehand. Okay. So typically in a semester, a full-time course load is 5 courses per semester. Right. So you would take, 2 of those courses, 1 or 2 of those courses would be a course in your major. So let's just say you're a psychology major. Let's just, for example. So you would take a psychology course, and that would be in English. You would also have your electives and core education courses that can also be taken in English. So that would be 4 courses. And then you would have 1 course per week, which is your French course. And there you would be learning from a basic level this new language that you're learning now. So for most of our students, especially for our international students who don't come from a francophone country, that's typically what it's like. 5 courses per semester, 4 of them are either within your major or your core or your electives, and then you would take a French course as well.
Awesome. Okay, guys. So let's move on because I just look at the clock and I was like, "Oh boy, it's already 43 past." So we need to hurry a little bit. So I want to make sure we cover all the other different fields here, the questions that students are asking. So just briefly, could you tell us a little bit more about the application process? Because that's something that I saw here on the chat. Many people asking, "Oh, what's the application process like? What are the general requirements for undergraduate programs?" Like, I know that all the answers in this subject starts with "it depends," but what can you tell us, just overall, like for these people that are asking about the application process?
Okay, so admissions process, here you go. So often, a lot of the times, our conversations in Canada tend to be comparisons to the United States, right? So I'm going to have to do that a lot because for a lot of international students, when they're looking at studying abroad, they might be more familiar with the U.S. and how it works. So in the U.S., you typically have something called the Common App, which is a website that allows you to apply to 10 different, colleges and universities, right? And you pay one fee. In Canada, it works a little bit different than that. So first of all, we do not have national entrance exams for universities. So we don't have SATs. We don't have some kind of big entrance test that every student at the end of high school takes to get into university. It really is, and I'll use the example for high school students. It really is dependent on your grades in some grade 11, but mostly in your final year, right? Also, just to mention, we do accept students transferring in from other universities, and we accept students from international baccalaureate programs, French baccalaureate programs, the Cambridge system, AP, advanced placement programs if you're in a US curriculum. And those students actually get advanced credits for those advanced high school degrees. So you would actually start your 4 year program and you might only have 3 years to do out of 4 years because your high school program is more advanced than the typical grade 12. So there are two ways to apply to Glendon. You could either apply directly on the York U website, and that allows you to choose up to 2 programs. Or in the province of Ontario, because we have 27 universities here, we've developed our own kind of common app called the Ontario Universities Application Center, or OUAC. And it's a website that for a low fee, it actually allows you to apply up to 3 programs at up to 3 different universities. So you could apply to 2 Glendon programs and a program at University of Toronto, or 2 programs at Queen's and 1 at Western, or all 3 at Glendon, because that's what I would hope you would do if you go on the OUAC. So there's really 2 ways of doing it. You set up your application, portal, basically your account. You submit your application, and then we would ask you for your documents. So we're looking at high school transcripts, and obviously throughout the year, you're going to be getting updated transcripts with grades. We would ask you for them. You would apply first for admission to the program. Then the other thing you would do is apply for scholarships, which we do have scholarships for international students. And you would also apply for on-campus housing if that's something that you would want to do, which I always strongly recommend international students do. It's not required, but it's highly, highly recommended to live on campus, especially if you're a first-year undergraduate student and have never lived in Toronto, or even sometimes you've never lived in another country before, because you're really going to get a lot of hands-on guidance in terms of navigating the city, navigating the campus, and navigating your university program as well.
Cool. And we have Deruba here asking the requirements for masters as well would be very similar to the process you just described, I assume.
Graduate studies is kind of a bit of a different process, right? So obviously you would have to have already completed a 4-year degree, a university degree, either in Canada or in another country. But then you also have to apply for funding, and you have to match with a professor who's your thesis advisor. It's a bit more complicated applying for graduate studies, but our Faculty of Graduate Studies does have a recruitment and liaison team that can help students with which master's or PhD program to take, what the process is like, the costs associated, the tuition, and all that kind of stuff.
Awesome. And I'm going to get into more questions in the final 10 minutes, guys. So very soon. Just wanted to cover a different thing, which is the different options in terms of funding that students will have. Obviously, scholarships helps reduce the cost of the studies. But my question to you, if you can give us an overview of the scholarships opportunities available for international students, but also like what are the other funding options do you have there at York that international students could use to help alleviate the cost of their studies?
Absolutely. So with our scholarships, they are open to. We have scholarships that are actually that are reserved specifically for international students. Right? They're largely
Ah,
based on academic merit. So that means the higher grades you have, the better chance you have at getting a great scholarship. And all of our undergraduate programs are available for scholarships at Glendon. So there's no difference. Basically, is that every program is open for scholarships. So for the amount, they can range from just a very small prize of about $1,000 to, we have one big scholarship at York University that's a $180,000 or $140,000 scholarship, which is for all 4 years. So it's $140,000 total spread out over 4 years. This year at Glendon, we just introduced a brand new International Excellence Scholarship for students coming to one of our programs. That's a $40,000 scholarship, and that's $10,000 for every 4 years. So that's a
oh, wow.
significant portion of the tuition and expenses and fees that go towards a Glendon education. You did ask about alternative funding methods. So if you're a U.S. student, because of the special relationship between the United States and Canada, your FAFSA federal aid actually transfers to York University. We're registered with FAFSA. We have a number, a registration number, so you're covered there. For everyone else, one of the things that we haven't really touched on is the Canadian student visa. So to study in Canada, you have to apply for a study permit, like you do for most countries if you're studying, right? The Canadian student visa, however, actually allows you to work on campus from day one up to a maximum of 20 hours per week during the school year. You can also work off campus up to a maximum of 20 hours per week during the school year. And then during the summer breaks in between, if you decide to stay in the country, you can work full time. on or off campus. And then once you're finished your degree, you can apply for what's called the post-graduation work permit, which allows you to stay in Canada for up to 3 years after graduating from your program with an open work visa that allows you to work full-time anywhere. It's not tied to a specific job or position or company.
Yeah,
Absolutely. That's why Canada is the whole package, because you go there, you get a well recognized degree, and then you also are allowed to stay there to have to acquire a professional experience. But go ahead, Anton. What you wanted
I was
to
just
add
going to
something?
say that's part of normal life here for a student. You know, over half of our students have jobs while they are students. Okay, and that's, I mean, even in our office, we hired an international student from India this year. Last year we had two international students in our office, one from Benin and one from Cote d'Ivoire. So this is just normal life. I don't want people sitting at home to think, oh, like it's going to be way too busy. But no, I mean, the average Canadian student goes to class, but also does this other stuff, does the hands-on experience, gets an internship, research, and having fun, making friends, but also making some money on the side. Like, it's all part. It might sound overwhelming if it's new to you, but it's normal life here, and we know you can do it if you come here and become part of the community.
Yeah. And guess what? You're gonna enjoy it. It's not gonna be like a boring work. Usually, the works on campus are quite nice. I've been in, I've experienced that, so I do recommend as well. So I completely agree with you, guys. We're getting into the final minutes of this live. Every time we have guests here, they all say, "Oh, but 1 hour is long." But I said, "You're gonna see it's gonna pass by so quick when you realize it's like gone already." And I'm really happy because we have still like we started the live, I think, with 80 something people, and we still have like 70 something joining us. So it means that people are enjoying this. Guys, please do send your questions now. We're going to dedicate the next 5 minutes to answer some of them. So now let's go question hunting here. The first one I wanted to start is something, it's a question from Thais. She's saying she's from Brazil. And basically, to sum up her question, she is talking about transferring, right? So she's saying that she's already in a college, and she wants to transfer to York University, possibly. So this is something that it's quite common as well. Many of our users ask about that. What are the possibilities if you're already doing your undergrad, which is, I think, her case here? Can you transfer? Will you get the same amount of credit? Will you have to restart? What can you tell us, Ryan? Or what can you tell Thais about this?
Yes, well, Thais, thank you so much for that fantastic question. So, actually, a very high number of our international students don't come to us from high school. They do come to us from they're studying at a college or university, either in their home country, or maybe sometimes they've gone to another country to study and they've become more and more interested in Canada. So, let's say, and I'm going to use psychology again just as an example. Okay, so let's say you're studying psychology at a university in Brazil, because that's where you live, Thais, and you want to transfer into the psychology program here at Glendon. Okay, so first of all, that's a possibility because most of our programs actually are not just direct entry, which means only from high school. Most of our programs are open to transfer students. So you can transfer. So what happens is when you apply, you would indicate that you are coming from a university in Brazil, because we have asked you to indicate what your last level of education is, even if you haven't completed it. When you submit your application form, we'll also ask for your most current transcript. So let's say you're studying psychology at your current university, we would ask you for your most up-to-date transcript. And then what we would do is our admission staff would actually look through your transcript and look at each course and see which ones can apply towards your degree here. And then when we offer you admission to the program, in your offer letter, you would actually be shown in the letter how many credits you are being granted in advance and how much time then it would take you to finish your program here. So typically, a lot of students that are coming from a university, depending on how far along they are, if it's a very similar program, so if it's like psychology to psychology, you would get a good amount of advanced credits. Then you might only need to do 2 years to finish your degree here. It's possible. Every situation is different. Where it gets a little complicated is if you're trying to make a radical change. So if you're coming from, let's say, mechanical engineering, and then you take a huge pivot and you want to do dramatic and creative arts at Glendon, we are going to count as many of those credits towards your electives, let's say, or your general education credits, but you're still going to have to take all of the required courses of the dramatic and creative arts program, and that does take time. So when it's a radical shift like that, it's not necessarily that you'd be completely starting over, but you might have to take a little bit more time than if perhaps you were going from one program that's highly similar to a program that is almost the same thing. So it really is a case by case basis. But the advantage of being small at Glendon is we have an amazing staff of admissions professionals that actually look at each individual application, and we try to make the best decision that we possibly can for you. And it's not just about yes, you're in or no, you're not in. It's how can we maximize your time here at Glendon? How can we make sure that we give you as many advanced credits as we possibly can? Because we want you to succeed and we want you to be very happy with your Glendon program.
Awesome. Thanks for your question, Thais. We're getting like lots of questions here. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to answer all of them. But I wanted to put here Camilla's question, which is regarding the average tuition fee, because we didn't cover that. So just, Antoine, can you just give Camilla an idea of the tuition fee charged by your university in general?
Brian, if you want to go after this one, maybe we can give the amount in Canadian dollars and people can go on
Yep.
Google and figure out how much it is in their currency.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, so our tuition in Canadian dollars, so let's just say a 4-year, you're in a 4-year bachelor's degree. One academic year, which includes tuition, student fees, health and dental insurance, a room and residence, a meal plan, tuition and books, that's about $44,000 Canadian. That's before any scholarships and bursaries and funding yourself and working on campus or off campus. That in US dollars is about $35,000. So I feel we're very competitive. When you compare our costs to similar size and similar quality colleges in the United States, you're looking at sometimes twice that amount for a full academic year. And as I said, again, that's before any scholarships and bursaries, which, as we explained before, can take a big dent out of that commitment and investment.
Absolutely, absolutely. Guys, I think we're getting close to the end here. I was trying to get a final question here. There are lots of questions regarding the still requirements and so on. What I am going to ask is our team to put here the contact detail now on the screen. So please, my lovely colleague from Mexico who's behind the scene here today. So Ryan, this is the email for all of them to get in touch with you, correct? international@glendon.yorku.ca. Also, the Instagram there, if you want to follow the Glendon campus, is that it? The Instagram for the Glendon campus? Go. So Glendon Liaison. You can also, guys, take a print screen on your phone if you're watching us from your phone. There's also like the phone number there. But yeah, so I believe Ryan and Antoine will be more than happy to keep in touch with you. There are many questions that you're sending here throughout through the chat that unfortunately we don't have time to cover. But yeah, our team is just putting here now on the chat the email, everything there. So please just copy and paste. Make sure you get in touch with them. I think we heard so many great things about York University, about the Glendon campus here today. I'm really happy that you guys have joined us here today. So thanks a lot, Ryan. Thanks a lot, Antoine. And I just wanted to, give you like a final, minute to just say your goodbyes and to a final message, perhaps for all of these nice folks that are watching us across the world.
Antoine, do you want to go?
Oops, I think you're muted, Antoine, or we can't hear you.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Okay, yeah, that's okay.
I just had a great time on the Student World Talks. This has been great. A lot of people in the chat who are really appreciating some of the things that we're sharing about Toronto as a destination, Canada, coming to study at Glendon. So I think we should do something a little bit special. What we'll do, we talked a bit about the application process. So we're going to choose one winner this week. who follows us on Instagram and who was at the live today. And we're actually going to give them a free tuition, free application fee waiver. So applying to the university, we're going to
Oh,
waive that fee for one winner, and it's just our little way of saying thank you, merci beaucoup. Thanks for having us, Carlos.
Yeah, thank you so much
absolutely.
for having us. Absolutely. Yeah, and I just want to say lots of questions about admission requirements. It's really detailed because it's all different education systems from all over the world. So send us an email at international@glendon.yorku.ca. Tell us where you're from, what program you're in, and we'll go over the admission requirements for the programs you're interested in because it's different for everybody. That's the beauty of international admissions. Is that it's complex.
Absolutely. Guys, I just wanted to repeat to you here. So, Antoine said that someone will be selected this week, and we'll have their application fee waived. So you're not gonna need to pay for your application. This is really nice. So, let me ask my colleague to put the Instagram here again once more. So you guys don't forget to follow them for the Glendon campus over there. As you can see, Glendon Liaison on Instagram as well. And yeah, I wish you the best of luck. But yeah, so thanks a lot for this nice surprise at the end, Antoine. Thanks a lot, Ryan. It was lovely to meet you guys. Wish you a great week, all the best, and hope to see you back here at the Student World Talk soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you
Appreciate it.
everybody
Thank
for
you.
joining us today. Yeah.
Bye, bye, bye.
Bye.
All right, folks. And for all of you that are still with us throughout this, a little bit past 1 hour now, here in Europe is Central Europe, 8 p.m., 8:03 p.m. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you enjoy. That was just the first episode of this new season we're hosting the student in our YouTube channel. So if you haven't subscribed yet to our YouTube, do it. Click on the button right now so you don't forget it. Subscribe to us, and don't forget to give us your like. This means a lot, and also to join our community on Instagram. We just passed over 400,000 of really looking forward people that are want to study abroad. So don't forget, yeah, join us. Be one more. We'll love to provide content for you. There's lots of contents taking place over there every week. Our team, they work 24/7 providing very good content there. And again, but this is our place for now on. Every Tuesday we'll be meeting here. Okay, so don't schedule anything for Tuesdays at this exact same time. I don't know what time it is where you are in the world, but save it on your calendar. The Student World Talks once a week, every Tuesday, will be here. This month is the month of Canada. We're going to have 5 Canadian institutions joining us. York University, lovely university, was just the first one. So we're pretty excited for the other ones that are yet to come. So thanks, Chande Piris. Thanks for Kami Fige. Thanks for Maha. Great to see you back here. Who else? Ariel is here. Orelaha. Edwin. Guys, you are the best. You are the best, really. Again, this is the only talk show format live that we have about study abroad specifically. There's no one else around YouTube or anywhere online that does what we do here. So we're quite unique. So again, thank you so much, and I wish you a lovely night or afternoon or morning, depending where you are, and a great week. And I'll see you back here at this exact same time next week. All right, sounds good. Okay, folks. So have a great week in the student world. Whatever you want to study, we know how to get you there.